Good morning. Today is Saturday, December 15th, 2012. I am speaking with Mr. Ramesh Chanda of Delhi as well as formerly of New York. This interview is being conducted in Delhi. Mr. Chanda, what's your desh?
Well, I was born in Dhaka, Bikrampur it is called.
Okay.
In a famous village called Bajrajogini.
Bajrajogini, I have heard of that name before. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the village? How was it?
Well, I was born in 1933 and my schooling in a Patshala in the village, a neighboring hamlet I should say, and at the Bajrajogini school. I studied up to matriculation.
Okay.
The school was within 10 minutes walk from my house.
So you walked, of course.
But in rainy season, of course, whole Bikrampur is flooded. So you had to take a boat.
Oh, you used to take a boat?
From our house to reach the school and come back.
See, it brings your laugh back. So it's really a very wonderful memory. Now, tell me a little bit about the school. How was the school? Was it a thatched roof, concrete building, 1-story, 2-story?
The school was located at a very nice place. It was actually founded by the Guho family of Bajrajogini. They donated the land, and there was a interesting, quite a good pond in front, Puchkarini, in front of that. And it was a 1-story building with a compound inside and veranda all around, and then rooms.
Okay.
It was quite a well-known school, perhaps the second or third oldest in Bikrampur, which had 46 schools when I was graduating from my school. And it was quite well known as a village and also as a school. When we were studying in the lower class, I came from Patshala, admitted to class 4. Okay. From a Patshala to a schoolboy, one becomes a little diffident and whether I can cope and all that, but I have still no problem. I did fairly good results and all that. Maximum number of students at our times used to be about 700 to 800.
That's not small, that's large.
But it was only for boys.
Only for. Was it a mixed school, Hindus and Muslims?
Oh yes, everybody. But if suppose the number strength would have been 700, Muslims would be about 80 to 100, not more.
Okay, no, not more than 10%.
Less than that. Actually, most of them were villagers from the surrounding area, but since that was a good school, Muslim boys used to come even for 2-3 miles away. Okay. Now tell us. There was no discrimination, nothing. There was a separate Arabic teacher who used to teach us.
Arabic teacher?
Yes, and who used to teach us Bengali. He was my first class teacher, as it is called. A nice man, Molavi, even though he was from Bengali? Some other district but residing in the same village. He was attached to a mosque, but he was very secular and very nice man.
So, very nice. Now, what about your house? How was the house look like? How did the house look like?
Well, in our areas, a homestead used to be constructed out of the mud from a pond or tank and all that. Just behind my house, there was a big tank, not very big as Rampal, but fairly big, called Dharmadahad actually. It must have been a remnant of some Buddhist area, because our area was predominantly, at least there were a lot of Buddhist influence. My village within 2 to 3 miles of Rampal, which was the secondary capital and later on the capital of the Saints. In any case, and this tank, at the time there was plenty of water, but there was some cultivation around, and there were blocks of houses around it. There was an exit for water and all that thing. This is most of the big villages in Bikrampur was done that way. They had to dig up a big pond or this and then raise it.
So how many generations your family lived there, you think?
Actually, I hear that my ancestors came from some part, what we call West Bikrampur. For some reason or the other, they had to leave that village overnight.
Nearby.
Okay, maybe about 200 years ago.
And then before that, they were living in West Bikrampur.
It's not far away, made up in 7-8 miles from that.
But that's a big distance then, the identification.
So I guess I don't know.
Yeah, but for many generations there also.
And in this, In fact, our pada used to be called Chanda-pada.
Chanda. So,
because we are the predominant people, there were others also.
okay.
So, but the neighboring village, there were some Muslims.
Okay.
It was a mixed kind of thing, but predominantly our area was, I believe it might have been 75-80% Hindus in those days.
Okay. Who else lived in your house? How many people?
Well, first of all, the house means our homestead had four, what you call hutments kind of thing.
Okay.
And there were 6 brothers, there were only 6 of them houses, some of them were living abroad. My father was practicing Ayurveda, and we had some land also.
Okay.
So like this. And then others
So that means extended family of
extended
yours.
family. Next door was another,
Chanda.
not Chanda, it was some other designation, Paul, next was somebody else like that. Then our ancestral house, which is called, we used to call Puranbadi.
Puranbadi, old house.
So that means they initially settled there, then they spread.
Straight out, okay.
And there was another house, homestead, little away, that we used to call Noyabadi.
Noyabadi, okay.
So as usual.
Yeah,
So it was entirely Hindu hamlet. All the neighboring hamlets are all 100% Hindus.
Okay. Now, so your parents, father, what's the name of your parents?
Vishnu Prasad Chanda.
And mother?
Father has studied Sanskrit, etc., but not much of English. My mother went to Pathshala, maybe
Name?
class 1, 2.
Name?
Father's name,
Mother.
I've told. Mother's is Lavanya Prabha Chanda.
Okay, very nice. So you had your brothers and sisters, and what, your uncles also lived in the same house?
One uncle was resident in Burma,
Okay.
was serving there. The others were in the village. That means we had in all 4 other uncles.
Okay.
4 other
All right.
uncles.
Now, how did you end up in India, and why?
Well, in 47 after partition, I believe maybe 60-70% of the Hindus left the main Vajrayogini village, which was very well educated.
Why?
etc.
Do you know?
Well, apprehension.
And there was no violence and nothing
In Bikrampur, there was no direct violence as such, but there used to be a lot of stories about Bodishal, Faridpur, Dhaka, and Dhaka was not very far away place.
No, I mean,
So they were apprehensive that their security will be. So, but still, some people stayed on. I had a school teacher who was in the school, maybe up to 75, 80-year-old. He was very popular, Sambandhabadda. And he remained in the village for the sake of his mother. But his mother also died there. He did not migrate. But almost all Hindu teachers migrated to India. And then another thing was happening. There was a middle school for girls in main Vajrayogini village. But then the number dwindled, so that school shifted to our school.
So
in the morning shift became women, this girls' school.
Okay.
Then in the daytime.
Oh, I see. The school.
But it was.
But there was no direct violence, though.
No, not in our area.
But they were terrorized by what they heard from other places, newspapers.
Well, we could see that those who were fairly liberal-minded, they were talking rather very unfriendly terms and all that thing. And then even people used to come to our house, when are you leaving? Then we...
Were your neighbors or your Muslim friends or Muslim neighbors used to ask?
We did not have any immediate Muslim neighbors from the neighboring village and all that. My father was well known, so they used to come. So they were thinking that if you leave, they will get this and that kind of thing, but no direct threat as such.
Okay. But do you know what happened to their property?
All gone.
And
after my matriculation, I came to Calcutta. In fact, I was determined to study in Haraganga College, Munshiganj.
Okay.
But one of my teachers...
Munshiganj, that's also in Dhaka district.
Yes.
Dhaka
now is a district.
Yeah.
Munshiganj district.
Yeah.
One teacher was very fond of me. When I met him in Calcutta, by that time I was among the first 10 in the East Bengal secondary education. That was the first batch. So in any case, I had more or less made arrangement to be admitted to Haraganga College. Of course, about 3-4 miles from my village. But in the meantime, some neighbor who was working in Calcutta. In between, he taught in our school also. He was going back to Calcutta. He said, okay, come on, we'll see Calcutta.
Okay.
So I went with him and paid a visit. My teacher, who was very fond of me, he said, yeah, you are studying at Haragama College? No, you should study in Presidency College, Calcutta. I said, what are you telling, sir? Who is going to support me?
Yeah.
And can I get admission? Why not? So he asked his son, who was a student of Presidency College, who became IFS later on.
Indian Foreign Service. Yeah.
Indian Foreign Service. So he took me to the principal. Principal saw my background, etc. He says, yes, you are admitted.
Oh.
But you have to bring your mark sheet.
Okay.
So then after my visit was over, I went back to my village.
Okay.
My father was very reluctant I should leave the village and go to Calcutta.
And which was that year?
1950.
50. So his parents were still there?
Yes.
In Vajrayogini.
My parents, my other three brothers, they were settled in Assam. They occasionally used to come. My two younger brothers, they were studying in the same Vajrayogini school.
Okay.
So my father was very sad I should leave. My mother was very upcoming. She said, no, why should he hold him if he has got better chance in Calcutta, better schooling, and he's got admission in a very good college, we should not stop him.
Okay.
So that's why. Then my brothers used to support me with some difficulty because in that year, because of the riots in Puritpur, Bodishal, and many other places, the examination was postponed again twice, thrice. It was supposed to be in April or May. It was finally delayed. I don't know when it was.
You mean in your high school exam in
East Bengal Secondary Education Board school. That postponed a couple of times, but finally the results came in October. Now I got admission in Presidency College. By that time, the college had been functioning for at least 2 months or so.
Okay.
So I was admitted on the last day of November. I was able to get some certificate from my school that I stood so and so forth thing from the school.
But you didn't get the final marks yet of that exam?
Final marks.
Or school final exam?
No, I could not get it.
Yeah.
But then
provisional. You have provisional. Yeah.
And they said, can you show me a paper where your name has come?
Okay.
I was able to produce. I went to Bagbajar and some Jugantor or some other paper I think had carried this one support. People have stood and all that thing. So that settled the matter. Mark sheet came much later. So I was admitted on the last day. Calcutta University had extended its admission to intermediate, etc. up to end of November.
Okay.
I was admitted on 30th November.
All right.
So,
two
it was
months later.
In science, and in science, if you have missed 2-3 months, it's not easy to cope up. So I had to struggle all through, and finally made up most of the subjects except mathematics, which first part which I missed altogether, but then later on made up.
Okay. Now, what about your parents? When did they migrate finally?
As soon as I was able to get some sort of a job in Calcutta, and I hear the stories of the villages, most of the people have left, the people are scared and all that thing. So I was trying to get them. One of my brothers.
So you really encouraged them to come?
Not encouraged. I could see the writing on the wall.
Okay.
My one brother, he did his college in Assam. And my other brothers were there. But after finishing my college and university education, I got some job. Not a very good job or not a permanent job, but then I encouraged them to come. In the meantime, my brother also came from Assam. He admitted to Calcutta College.
Okay. So and what year was that? Final, the final.
They came in 1959.
59, so quite later. And did anything happen in between to them, or life was normal, precarious, easy?
There were always a little bit of threats and that kind of thing. Implicit threats were there and all that thing. Most of the Vajrayogini village was totally empty except a couple of families. And
did they sell their property? Were they able to?
Not. Well, but I gave it to somebody and got some money and nothing more. But no legal sale was allowed and all that.
And did you get?
And so not only a couple of my uncles are already left also from my same homestead. My father came in 59, one or two other remained, but they also left.
Oh,
They had
after-
no sustenance in India, but in spite of that, they came. My last visit to East Bengal was in 55.
55.
By that time, village was almost half empty.
Achha. Did you go
So
back
obviously
later?
no. After my 55, I never went back. In 59, when they came back, I went to Dhaka for the first time in 1990.
90.
When I went for UN job, some
Okay.
mission for Bangladesh census in 1991.
Okay.
So at that time, I went to village also.
No.
A friend of mine who was in World Bank and a colleague of mine in
Bangladesh.
United, Bangladeshi.
Okay.
He was from Naranganj. He said, "Oh, your village is very well known. You want to go?" I said, "Okay, let me go." So he provided a car, etc. He came. He had
Okay.
some nephew in my neighboring village. I said, I went to a village.
Did you walk into the same path like you did in your young days? Were you able to find your house and the school?
Difficult. Because in those days, all houses in Bikrampur used to be surrounded by tall trees. There was some sort of a barrier, and people could have some abru, you can say. I don't know what
Yeah.
you call it.
Some
So
covering,
that was
says.
so-
Yeah, hiding.
Even though my school and the bazaar, Bajragini Bazaar was very well known. There used to be 24 hours, some shops, you could get something or the other. In the morning, for up to 1 o'clock or so, fish, vegetables that were available. That bazaar was half empty. And I could locate the village bazaar from a couple of things. One, there was a Hindu barber. He said, "Oh, you're from so-and-so family."
Oh,
So I could not locate my village because all the villages were denuded of trees.
really?
Yes. And so he said, "Can you not see that?" I said, "Oh, because how do I locate? You have some landmarks, used to be the trees, etc. Nothing, just a totally empty landscape."
Oh,
And then I was really appalled because there was a famous temple in Bajragini established by the same Go family. And there were some interesting sculptures in that village,
Okay.
province. The temple was almost in dilapidated condition, and I could locate it only from some Minaka, as it is called.
okay.
Otherwise, there was nothing. All the gates were gone. Of course, the vigrahas were all gone. There was no worship, nothing. So
No puja services were being taken.
everything was gone.
Deity?
No, nothing was there.
Okay.
Whether it was looted or not, I don't know. I
Yeah,
did not
yeah,
ask.
yeah.
But the sculptures, fortunately, were removed to Dhaka Museum.
Oh,
In 2009, I went there. My wife was there. As soon as I entered a big hall, in fact, Dhaka Museum is very good so far as sculptures are concerned. A lot of, and I said, "Well, this is from Bikrampur, so-and-so village, etc." Our area was very
Yeah.
well known.
yeah.
So when I entered the big hall, I said, "You see, that seems to be from my village."
Really?
We went there, they found, yes,
They
it
have
was
the
a
level
famous
there?
sculpture, yes,
Level of...
from Vajrayogini and this and that.
That's nice. At
So there
least.
were three sculptures. At least one was found. It was a very nice sculpture, really,
Okay.
and shown very prominently in Dhaka
Okay.
Museum. And I guess that was. So went to the village. There was hardly anybody.
What did you do when you went there? Did you walk?
Not a single Hindu family in my homestead, next homestead, or in the entire area was Hindus. Not a single
100%
family was
Hindu.
there.
Single family.
And in my homestead, there was one Muslim family who was occupying the land which was spread over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 homesteads.
Oh.
So they are occupying the whole land.
Oh.
Later on, I went there once again, 2009.
Hmm.
So that family is still having, but it has split into 3, 4 fragmented families, 3 or 4.
Oh, that's probably his children or something.
And earlier used to have very good cultivation of bananas and this. This fellow had it. But now from bananas are gone. It's not economic. They are producing cool berries.
Oh, that's...
Like that, I guess. And the village economy has totally changed, we could see. One thing that I felt sad was there was a canal which was meandering away within the Bajragini village, our village. And finally used to meet one very large canal called Bionia Canal that goes from Digirpar, that means Rajbari on the Padma, going to Tungibari, Malkanagar up to Talcher, joining Dhaleshwari. That was very big. So this particular canal, during the dry season, during this high tide, it was fine. Load. Other times, sometimes there could be little problem.
Yeah.
And that was the main transport connection. Our bazaar used to depend on that, bringing all kinds of supplies, etc. But as I said, the trees were all gone, and the canal is also almost gone.
Oh.
When I saw in 1990, canal still has some water hyacinth over it. Water was hardly visible. But 2009 went, since the hyacinths have never been cleared, so obviously there is siltation and all that things. So I think they are now almost dried up.
Oh.
So after some time, this will be cultivated as land,
Okay.
and nobody cares.
Yes.
Because it was an economic lifeline, but it's no longer so. Dhaka is well connected one can go by motorcycle.
Absolutely.
And there are bridges also.
Yeah. Now,
but it was a big loss in my view, because that was what you call a real drainage system was this.
yeah.
So if tomorrow
Communication, drainage, everything. There are so many things.
So this is gone.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that made me very sad.
Yes, the lifeline, the connection to the rest of the world. Now, did your family, or any of your family members get any compensation or help in India?
No.
As a refugee or anything?
Nothing. In
Why
fact,
do you think
they
Hindus...
wanted to give, my father had to give a bond. When I go back to India, I cannot claim any assistance from the government of India. So on that condition, they were given allowed to come to India.
Your father had to give a bond to
Indian embassy.
in
Indian
Pakistan,
High Commission in Dhaka.
At that time.
Yes. That when you go back to India, we depend on government roles, assistance.
And that was in 1950s when you came to college?
59.
Oh, when your father was coming? I see.
Last time it was 55. I didn't know.
Yeah. Now, why do you think Hindus were not able to fight back and stay?
Well, when the government is against you, you are discriminated in many things one could see, then that really breaks the moral of the people. How long can you fight? I remember one incident. I was preparing for matriculation examination sometime in March or so. I was studying at about maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock, or 10 o'clock. We'll normally go to bed much earlier. Then there was a shorgol in front of my house. In fact, just beyond the canal on this side, there was one Vidya family.
Commotion. There was a commotion.
Commotion. And he had 4 or 5 daughters who were unmarried, and he had one son. So there was an attack on their house. They are trying to take away the youngest.
Really? The girls?
So the others, sisters, came out and they beat some drums and canisters, etc. So, of course, everybody had some lathi, etc. in our house, and neighboring people, and some even barsha kind of thing. So people came from all around. And so the miscreants could not take her. And there was an Ansar Bahini, so-called, supposed to be protecting.
Ansar.
They were within, near the Bajajagani school itself. They heard all this commotion, nobody bothered to come.
Oh.
So it was the Hindu neighbors who saved. Next day, some Muslim families also came. That you please stay on, it's very unfortunate, we don't want to lose you. He was a very well-known Ayurvedic practice. Actually, he was a classmate of my father also.
Medicine man.
So, medicine man, Ayurvedic practitioner, you can say. So, next day, he did not hit anybody's bleeding and all that, took a boat and migrated to India.
Okay.
So, when this kind of incidents happen, that really breaks the moral of others. And then the Ansars came and threatened the Hindus. When the case went to, there were a couple of other cases went to Munshi Khan's court, but the Hindus did not get proper justice.
Okay.
The police, etc., was siding with the miscreants. So this kind of thing, they break the moral of the people.
Sure. But, do you know if why in West Bengal, where Muslims are minority, Hindus are majority, they were able to stay, but not in Bangladesh, where Hindus are minority.
Well, very simple reason. India is a secular state. There is no discrimination. There could be a little bit of things here and there, but no discrimination. So actually, but East Bengal, definitely, the Muslim League government and all that thing were against the Hindus. They, in fact, some people positively encouraged the Hindus to migrate, and the local people are, of course, some Hindus migrate, they will get their land, houses, etc.
Yeah.
I think that was a kind of thing, and the government sided with them.
Yeah. Do you know if anybody benefited because of partition of Bengal?
I think the greatest losers were Hindus who came as refugees. Muslims definitely gained, no doubt about it. But one good thing might have happened to the Muslims. Muslims were really backward in terms of education, trade, professions, etc. Because mostly all over Hindus. So a lot of Hindus came and said, who is going to replace these people? But gradually, even from these farmers' families, a lot of Muslims have come. They are now producing engineers, doctors, and professionals. So. But if the Hindus had continued, I don't think there would have been a problem either. You know, by natural course, people would have been educated. And things
Because I'm in West Bengal also, they're getting education or other places. Do your children ever go back to visit your ancestral home?
No.
Okay.
Only my youngest daughter, who is in Bangalore, she is invited to Bangladesh University for something, for seminar. So she went there, and we had some good friends who was an ambassador in Kabul, Mr. Murshid. So he received her very well. I also stayed with Mr. Murshid for some time. Then I also came to know one Professor Salahuddin, who is much well known, a secularist.
Yeah.
So if some good friends like that.
Yeah. So if people ask you, what's your desh now? What's your home country? What do you say?
I will say Delhi. What else?
Yes.
I have been here for the last 52 years.
Yes, of course. Do you think can Muslims and Hindus stay together, live together?
I find no reason why should not. Actually, the poison of communalism might have been subterranean, but it became very prominent when the Muslim League rose itself. Even in our schools, up to 42 or so, there was no problem. We had Muslims used to come to Saraswati Puja. We used to go to the Miladul Nabi and other things. As I said, there was an Arabic teacher also. He was very, very secular. In fact, he was a class teacher. I used to teach Bengali. He loved me very much. And also, we had a lot of Muslim students, most of them coming from farmers' family. Sometimes the Hindu teachers used to be little, well, this man is smelling onion, or this.
Okay.
1 or 2 persons were like that, not others.
But that could be for Hindus also, they would say.
Yes, but in fact, there was discrimination against the lower caste of Hindus also. It's not particularly for Muslims. But the thing changed a little bit when, because of the Japanese bomb, some Bengalis left Calcutta and they came to villages. There were some Muslim families also well-to-do Muslim. They also came from Calcutta and they became leaders in the school. They a little bit of a propagated this Muslim League idea. But then I don't know what of the particular election. Then I found the whole thing was getting polarized. The fellow was so liberal, so we used to discuss, but then I found that he was totally different. Overnight there was a change.
Okay. I'm almost to the end. Is there anything else like comes to your mind that I didn't ask? You like to add anything else?
I believe that we profess to be secular in India. We are secular in one sense, but when there is persecution of Hindus in Bangladesh, the secularists try to keep mum. And Pakistan, of course, there are hardly any Hindus left. I don't think there is even 1%. Even the Christians are being persecuted. And I have met a few Christians and Hindus when I went there in 1990 and 91, yes, twice. I seldom found any Hindu except in some hotels here and there. So But India, in contrast, has kept its, at least there has been no discrimination as such. People, I don't think any Muslim. There were a lot of Muslims who left from UP, Bhopal and these areas when there was a huge, not exchange of population, exodus from one side to the other. But after that, hardly anybody. And from West Bengal, only the educated some people left West Bengal. The other farmers, etc. I believe the Hindus would have done, behavior would have been the same. The farmers, I know a lot of people who had no means of livelihood in India. They were depending only on little bit of land and all that, did not have much. A lot of my neighbors were like that. And even when they left, that means there has been intense pressure, may not have been riots as such. So this should not be, in fact, Bangladesh professes to be secular. Then they should see that whatever the others are, they are minority, they should be protected by.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.